All right, guys, so if you have your prayer journal, go ahead and grab your weekly section. We're going to talk about this next. The weekly section, obviously, is every 7 days, probably during a rest period, kind of like a Sabbath, if you take a Sabbath, that kind of a thing, an afternoon alone. And it might take a little bit longer than the daily devotion, but what we're going to want to do is basically go back through the 7 days before, 6 days before, and kind of process through like things that we're seeing. We want to start with big celebrations from the week, just like the daily gratitude section. We are looking for the goodness of God throughout the week and remembering, again, the easiest gratitude that we find on our heart. I would say, though, the celebration section, apart from gratitude, can include or could include not only the things that He's done, but also celebrating the things He's done in you and through you. And those are just wins that we can start the weekly process off with and ways to catalog, like the grace that He's working out in our journey from a week-to-week basis. So that's a super fun thing to do, I think. Number two, as you get into the weekly reflections, and by the way, make sure to grab some like coffee cake or something for this, or coffee, or it's just fun to kind of like celebrate and make kind of an occasion, I guess, or something special. Maybe go to your favorite coffee shop for the weekly reflection, but I digress. So anyways, for weekly reflections, you might take a highlighter or a pen and kind of go back over and circle and highlight the bigger themes or the continual things that you saw in your week. And again, you're reflecting on your weekly entries with a highlighter, or daily entries rather. What has God been teaching you through His Word and Spirit this month? And so in this section, we're trying to walk away with, again, that one truth to trust, that one word that He is maybe trying to continually communicate to you throughout the week that maybe we wouldn't have even been able to see if we wouldn't have kind of written it down and put it all together. And so there's a bit of a pullback and then kind of a perspective, I think, change when we get a second to pull away, to retreat a little bit, to reflect and think about how we're really doing and what the Lord really is doing in our heart. And so what's He been saying through His Spirit? What's He been saying through His Word in one sentence? All right, here we go. So for prayerful planning, it says, what is the Lord saying about the most important things of the week to come? So we actually are familiar with this in terms of what we've been doing during the daily plans, but this would be more of a weekly thing. And I think we sometimes overestimate what we can do in a day and then underestimate what we can do in the course of a week. And so a lot of times, some of the bigger strides and more focused changes that can happen, either in our rhythms or just even individual people maybe you're led to reach out to or pray for or follow up with, that could happen here. And so I think a lot of times the weekly reflection kind of can dial down the urgent things that drag our day along and can help us focus more on the proactive, important things and the things that we want to really put our heart towards. And so we want to write down, and visualize and think, Lord, what are you saying about the top 6 things that might be happening this week? Either things He's directing us to do or things that we know are part of our daily rhythms, but we're asking for His guidance and His strength in those things. And so, that'll be, I think, really encouraging for you as you reflect on the week looking forward. And then lastly, weekly sharing. So this journal, again, is not just to grow in rhythms of just relationship with Him, but also with others. And so this weekly sharing process will help you kind of, for the introverts in the room, for that maybe struggle with even like verbalizing and coming to terms with what exactly am I going to share next time I'm at coffee or at a city group or with my spouse. This will help us clarify that. And for the extroverts in the room, it'll help us kind of filter through that and find the key themes that we want to share at group. But here's the deal. So many times, and how many times have you sat down at coffee or at a group and somebody says, how are you? And you're just reaching for even how you're doing. You haven't been thinking necessarily intentionally about how you're really doing. And if you did have something like that, maybe you hadn't, thought through how to put language to it. And so then, of course, the liability always outweighs the benefit of sharing openly and currently and vulnerably. And so we really feel that this journal will help us to share in deeper ways and more meaningful ways with our city group, with our prayer partner. And so, even in the familiar language or unfamiliar language of prayer partner, consider that for, if it's not daily, at least weekly, to find a prayer partner, somebody who is either a mentor, somebody who is beside you as just a side-by-side friend, or somebody maybe you're mentoring, and just use this to intentionally create language and conversation around these predictable patterns of relationship. And so, again, if that's a city group, if that is a spouse, if that is, for me, I've been doing it with my kids during dinner time. How are you going to share? Are you prepared to share? Are you ready to share, with clarity and conviction about like what the Lord has been saying to you? Hopefully this weekly reflection process at your favorite coffee shop with your favorite donut potentially will help you to share, again, maybe the big celebration or mourning, the deep truth to trust from the course of the week to share with your community. And then lastly, a few things maybe others can pray with you about, whether it's, having a hard conversation with somebody or sharing the gospel with somebody or calibration that you are taking in your life. I think this weekly journal process can help us share more vulnerably, authentically, and currently when it is time to open up and share how the Lord's working. So we hope that this weekly journal is helping you grow in that way.